Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The courtroom buzzes with low murmurs as the judge enters, signaling the beginning of the hearing. I sit in the back row, my hands clenched into fists, trying to keep my emotions in check. The woman who once was my wife, Clara, now stands in chains, her eyes hollow and resigned. The sight of her like this brings a cold satisfaction, but it's mingled with a deeper, darker anger that I struggle to contain. Clara was once the light of my life, the woman I trusted with everything. That was before she shattered that trust in the most brutal way imaginable. She betrayed me with my brother, Alex, and not just in some petty affair. No, it was far worse. I've seen the police reports and the trial transcripts. Clara didn't just cheat, she murdered Alex, and now she's here, facing justice. As the judge speaks, I can't focus on the words. My mind is lost in the whirlwind of memories, recollecting the months of deceit and betrayal that led to this moment. Clara's voice echoes in my head, tainted with the venomous sweetness she used to manipulate me. "I love you, Daniel," she'd said, all the while planning her escape with Alex. "Mr. Daniels," a deep voice jolts me from my thoughts. It's my lawyer, Peter Hughes, a man who's become more of a confidant than a legal representative. "Are you all right?" The judge is about to announce the sentencing. I nod, forcing a semblance of composure. "I'm fine, Peter. Let's just get this over with." The judge, an elderly man with a stern expression, clears his throat. "We have reached a verdict in the case of Clara Daniels. Given the severity of the crimes, both the adultery and the subsequent murder of Alexander Daniels, the court has decided on the maximum sentence." Clara's face remains impassive, but her eyes dart towards me for a fleeting second. It's almost as if she's searching for some sign of her old life, but all she finds is my cold, indifferent stare. The gavel strikes, and Clara is led away. A part of me wants to revel in the moment, to see her finally face the consequences of her actions. Yet, another part of me, more ruthless, more consumed by the need for revenge, starts to plan the next steps. Peter puts a hand on my shoulder. "I know this has been hard, Daniel. But there's more to consider now. We need to focus on what comes next." "Next?" I ask, my voice low and steady. "You mean, how to make sure her life is ruined beyond the prison walls?" Peter's expression is serious. "I understand you're hurting. But be careful. There's a fine line between justice and vengeance." "I'm well aware," I reply, meeting his gaze. "But I'm not interested in justice anymore. I want her to feel the depth of what she's done. To know that her betrayal has destroyed more than just her freedom." Peter sighs but doesn't argue. Instead, he nods and gives me a folder. "Here are the documents for the divorce proceedings. I'm going to leave you to it. If you need anything, you know where to find me." I take the folder and watch as Peter leaves the courthouse. The weight of the divorce papers in my hands feels like a tangible symbol of the end of an era. I'm about to walk out myself when I see Clara's lawyer, a sharp-looking woman named Vanessa Mills, approaching me with a smirk on her face. "Mr. Daniels," she says, her voice dripping with condescension. "I hope you're satisfied with today's outcome." I don't answer immediately. Instead, I take a deep breath and let the silence stretch between us. "I'm not finished yet," I finally say. "This is only the beginning." Vanessa's smirk falters slightly, but she recovers quickly. "Well, do let me know if you need any more help with the situation. We wouldn't want you to miss out on any legal nuances." As she walks away, I watch her with a growing sense of resolve. I need to be strategic. There are more layers to this betrayal that need unraveling, more ways to ensure Clara's misery is as complete as possible. I exit the courthouse, stepping out into the crisp afternoon air. The city is buzzing around me, but I feel detached, as if I'm in a different world entirely. I know I can't undo the past, but I can shape the future. And for Clara, that future will be one of unrelenting regret. With a deep breath, I head to the office to begin the process of dismantling everything she once held dear. The road ahead is dark and twisted, but I'm prepared to navigate it. After all, I have nothing left to lose. The game has just begun. The hum of the fluorescent lights in my office is a stark contrast to the dark thoughts swirling in my head. I sit at my desk, a sea of papers and legal documents spread before me. Each document represents a piece of the puzzle I need to assemble to make Clara's life as miserable as possible. The office door swings open with a creak, and in walks Emily Harris, my old friend and an investigative journalist with a sharp mind and a knack for digging up dirt. Her entrance is as purposeful as her stride, and her eyes light up when she sees me. "Daniel," Emily says, setting her leather bag on the desk. "I got your message. What's the emergency?" I gesture for her to sit, handing her a cup of coffee. "Thanks for coming. I need your help with something personal." Emily raises an eyebrow but doesn't press. "All right. Spill it." I lean forward, my voice low. "Clara's in prison, but I want to make sure she's left with nothing. I need you to help me find out everything about her assets, her associates, everything. I want to strip her of every last thing she values." Emily nods, her expression turning serious. "You're talking about a full-scale investigation. This won't be quick or easy. But if you're sure about this, I'm in." "I'm sure," I reply. "Clara's destroyed my life, and now I want to make sure she feels the weight of her actions." Emily's eyes glint with determination. "I'll get started. But you should know, this isn't just about digging up dirt. We might uncover some things that could be dangerous." "I understand," I say. "I'm prepared for whatever comes." Emily leaves with a promise to update me soon, and I turn back to the mountain of paperwork. The next few hours are a blur of legal jargon and endless details about the divorce. Just as I'm about to wrap up, my phone rings. The caller ID shows unknown, which piques my curiosity. "Hello?" "Mr. Daniels," a gravelly voice says on the other end. "I hear you're interested in making sure Clara's life gets even more complicated." I sit up straighter. "Who is this?" "A friend," the voice replies. "Someone who has a vested interest in making sure justice is served. Meet me at the usual place. We can discuss how we can both benefit from each other's motivations." The line goes dead before I can respond. I glance at the clock, midnight. With a sigh, I grab my coat and head out of the office. The usual place is a discreet bar on the edge of town, a place where deals are made and secrets are shared. The bar is dimly lit, the air heavy with the scent of tobacco and whiskey. I spot the man I'm supposed to meet, a middle-aged figure with a rugged appearance, wearing a dark coat and a fedora pulled low over his eyes. He's nursing a glass of bourbon when I approach. "Mr. Daniels," he says, nodding slightly. "You came." "I don't have all night," I say, sliding into the booth across from him. "What's this about?" The man leans in, his voice barely a whisper. "I have access to information that could be very useful to you. Clara has connections you might not know about, connections that could complicate your plans." I narrow my eyes. "And what's in it for you?" The man smirks. "Let's just say I have my own reasons for wanting Clara to suffer. If you help me with a little job, I'll ensure you get everything you need to ruin her life." "Tell me more," I say, feeling a rush of adrenaline. The man lays out the details: Clara's involvement with a shady financial advisor who's been laundering money for her. If we expose him, it could lead to a cascade of legal troubles for Clara. The catch? The financial advisor is slippery and well protected, making the task dangerous. "Do we have a deal?" the man asks, his eyes locked on mine. I nod. Deal. But remember, I'm not interested in taking unnecessary risks. We do this smart. He slides a dossier across the table, detailing everything we need to know about the advisor. As I pick it up, the man gets up to leave. Good luck, Mr. Daniels. I'll be in touch. I'm left alone with the dossier, the weight of the task ahead settling heavily on my shoulders. The stakes are high, and I know that every step I take will bring me closer to either victory or disaster. When I get home, Emily is already waiting for me. Her expression is a mix of curiosity and concern. How did it go? She asks. We have a new lead, I reply, showing her the dossier. This could be the break we need. Emily scans the document and nods. All right, let's get to work. The sooner we can act, the sooner we can put more pressure on Clara. We dive into the dossier, strategizing our next moves. The adrenaline is palpable, a stark contrast to the helplessness I felt months ago. The battle has only just begun, and every decision from here on out will be crucial. As dawn breaks, I look at Emily, determination set in my eyes. We're going to make sure Clara regrets every choice she's made. Emily smiles, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. Let's get to it. The road ahead is fraught with danger and intrigue, but I'm ready. For Clara, this is just the beginning of an unrelenting nightmare. And for me, it's the chance to reclaim my life and ensure she pays for every ounce of pain she's caused. The first rays of morning sunlight filter through the blinds, casting long shadows across my living room. I'm sitting at my kitchen table, going over the dossier Emily and I examined last night. The financial advisor's name is Victor Blackwood, a man who seems to have his fingers in more than a few illicit pies. The dossier details his connections to organized crime and a series of shell companies that obscure his wealth. Emily, looking bleary-eyed but determined, sips her coffee as she scans the documents I've laid out. Victor Blackwood, she murmurs. He's got quite the web of connections. This won't be easy. I nod. No, but it's our best shot at making Clara's life a living hell. If we can expose Blackwood, it'll force her into a corner. The phone rings, slicing through the tension in the room. It's a text from an unknown number, meet me at the docks. Midnight. A friend. I show Emily the message. Another player in the game. This one's different from the man at the bar. Emily raises an eyebrow. Sounds like we're about to find out more about what's really going on. I agree and decide to follow the lead. As night falls, Emily and I head to the docks. The area is deserted, shrouded in darkness except for the occasional flicker of a streetlight. The salty air mixes with the distant hum of the city, creating an atmosphere ripe with suspense. At the meeting spot, a small, abandoned warehouse, I spot a figure standing under a lone street lamp. The man is tall, with a sharp suit that stands out against the shadows. As we approach, he steps forward, revealing a face lined with age and experience, clearly someone who's been around the block. Mr. Daniels, the man says, extending a hand. I'm Alan Graves. I hear you're interested in Victor Blackwood. I shake his hand, trying to gauge his intentions. That's right. What do you know about him? Alan pulls out a cigarette and lights it, the glow illuminating his face. Blackwood is more than just a financial advisor. He's a fixer, a go-between for people who want to keep their hands clean. He's also deeply involved in laundering money for organized crime. If you want to bring him down, you'll need more than just evidence. You'll need a way to make him vulnerable. Emily, who's been observing quietly, speaks up. And how do you suggest we do that? Alan takes a drag from his cigarette and exhales slowly. Blackwood's dirty laundry isn't just hidden in financial statements. It's out there in the open if you know where to look. I can help you get access to his encrypted files. But there's a catch, getting those files won't be easy. Blackwood's security is top-notch, and he's paranoid. You'll need to be careful. I lean in, my interest piqued. What's the catch? Alan smirks, the cigarette dangling from his lips. I need a favor in return. There's a certain document that I need from Blackwood's vault. Something that could prove very useful to me. I glance at Emily, who nods in agreement. All right, we have a deal. What's the document? Alan's expression turns serious. It's a list of clients who've been laundering money through his shell companies. If you can retrieve that for me, I'll make sure you get access to Blackwood's files. We agree on the terms, and Alan provides us with a set of instructions and a contact who can help us bypass Blackwood's security systems. Be cautious, Alan advises as he leaves. Blackwood doesn't take kindly to intrusions. With the plan set in motion, Emily and I head back to my place to prepare for the operation. The next day, we meet with the contact Alan mentioned, a tech wizard named Marcus who specializes in digital security breaches. Marcus is a wiry young man with a quick wit and an arsenal of gadgets. I hear you need to get into Victor Blackwood's files, Marcus says, examining the instructions Alan gave us. He's got a sophisticated system, but I've cracked tougher codes. Great, I reply. What's the first step? Marcus lays out a blueprint of Blackwood's office. We'll need to access the server room where the files are stored. I can bypass the security systems, but you'll need to handle any physical security. Emily looks at the blueprint. What about guards or cameras? Marcus nods. There are both. I'll disable the cameras, but you'll need to deal with any guards you encounter. They're usually patrolling, so timing will be crucial. That night, we arrive at Blackwood's office building, a sleek, modern structure with heavy security. Marcus stays in a van outside, handling the digital side of the operation. Emily and I slip through a side entrance, making our way to the server room. We encounter our first guard almost immediately. I signal Emily to stay low as we hide behind a stack of crates. The guard, a burly man with a flashlight, moves past us, oblivious to our presence. We wait until he's out of sight before continuing. Reaching the server room, Marcus's voice comes through our earpieces. Cameras are down. You've got a clear path to the main server. I'm unlocking the door now. The door clicks open, and we slip inside. The server room is filled with humming machines and blinking lights. I move to the main console, following Marcus's instructions to download the files. Emily keeps watch, her eyes darting to the door every few seconds. Just as we're about to finish, the sound of footsteps approaches. Emily's eyes widen. We've got company. Marcus's voice crackles through the earpiece. Hurry up. I've got a breach alert. Guards are on their way. I grab the last of the files and we sprint out of the server room. The hallway is dimly lit, and we make our way back to the side entrance. Behind us, the sound of approaching footsteps grows louder. We burst through the side door into the night, our breaths coming in ragged gasps. Marcus meets us with the van, and we dive inside, racing away from the building. As the city lights blur past, I glance at Emily. We did it. Now let's see what Blackwood's hiding. Emily nods, her face pale but determined. Let's hope this was worth the risk. We head back to my place, the stolen files in hand. The real work is just beginning, but for now, I feel a sense of grim satisfaction. We've taken the first step in a high-stakes game, and the next moves could change everything. The net is tightening, and Clara's world is about to be rocked in ways she never imagined. The files we obtained from Victor Blackwood's office are spread out on my dining table, the evidence stacked in neat piles. Emily and I sit across from each other, our faces illuminated by the harsh light of the lamp. The sense of urgency in the air is palpable. We're about to uncover the final pieces of the puzzle, and the stakes couldn't be higher. All right, let's see what we've got, Emily says, flipping open the first folder. There's got to be something here that links Blackwood to Clara's scheme. I nod and sift through the documents, my eyes scanning for anything that might indicate a connection between Clara and Blackwood's criminal activities. Minutes tick by, and then Emily lets out a sharp intake of breath. Daniel, look at this, she says, sliding a file across the table. This is a list of transactions, and one name keeps coming up, Clara Daniels. My heart skips a beat as I read through the entries. It's clear that Clara has been laundering money through Blackwood's shell companies. The scale of the operation is enormous, and the implication is even worse. We've got her, I say, my voice steady but laced with satisfaction. This will destroy her. Emily's expression shifts from triumph to something darker. But there's more. I found another file that doesn't seem to fit with the rest. She opens the file, revealing a series of emails between Blackwood and a mysterious contact. The messages are coded, but one phrase stands out: the plan is in motion. Ensure Clara stays in the dark. I frown. This doesn't make sense. Blackwood was supposed to be our way to ruin Clara. Why would he want to keep her in the dark? Before Emily can respond, the doorbell rings, jolting us both. I exchange a worried glance with Emily and grab the gun I keep in the drawer for emergencies. We approach the door cautiously, and I peek through the peephole. To my shock, I see Alan Graves standing on the other side. I open the door, and Alan steps inside without waiting for an invitation. "Mr. Daniels," he says, his tone cold. "It seems we have a problem." "What are you doing here?" I demand, my suspicion rising. Alan's eyes flicker with something like amusement. "I see you've uncovered some interesting information. But there's something you don't know, something crucial." Emily steps forward, her voice trembling slightly. "What are you talking about?" Alan smirks and pulls out a file of his own, dropping it on the table. "I've been playing both sides. I was hired to ensure that Clara's life was made as difficult as possible, but I had my own agenda." I open the file, and what I find is a series of documents that reveals the full extent of Alan's deception. It turns out he's been manipulating both Clara and me, setting us up for his own gain. The final twist. Alan was the mastermind behind the entire scheme to frame Clara, using Blackwood and me as pawns. "You've been playing us all along," I say, my voice barely above a whisper. "You used us to get what you wanted." Alan nods, his expression devoid of remorse. "Clara was always a means to an end. But you, Daniel, you've been quite useful. The information you gathered will make me even richer." Emily looks at me, her eyes wide with betrayal. This was all a setup. And we were just tools for him. "Precisely," Alan replies, his smile growing. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have business to attend to. Clara will be dealt with in due time, but first, I have to ensure my own interests are protected." Before we can react, Alan makes a swift exit, leaving us stunned. The room falls into an uneasy silence as the weight of the revelation sinks in. I turn to Emily, the anger and betrayal evident in my eyes. We were nothing more than pawns in his game. All the anger I had towards Clara, it was manipulated by Alan. Emily's face is pale, her hands shaking. What do we do now? I take a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. We need to expose Alan for what he is. He's been playing both sides, and now he's the one who needs to be brought to justice. Emily nods, her resolve strengthening. Agreed. But first, we need to warn Clara. She's in more danger than we thought. We quickly gather the evidence and head to Clara's last known address. As we arrive, we find the place eerily quiet. We break in, searching for Clara, but there's no sign of her. it's clear that she's been on the run. Before we can figure out our next move, my phone rings. It's a text from an unknown number. You've been played. The game is over. A friend. I show the message to Emily, and we exchange worried glances. Alan's betrayal is complete, and we've been left with nothing but shattered trust and a sense of impending danger. We leave Clara's apartment, realizing that our fight isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about exposing Alan and preventing him from hurting anyone else. But as the night deepens, it becomes clear that the web of deception has ensnared us all, and the road to justice is fraught with peril. Emily and I part ways, each of us driven by our own sense of betrayal and a shared determination to bring Alan to justice. The trust we had in each other is gone, replaced by the harsh reality of our manipulated lives. As dawn breaks, I stand alone, the city's skyline a cold reminder of the battle ahead. The intricate game of deceit has reached its end, but the consequences of our actions will echo far beyond this moment. The truth is out there, and it's time for the world to know who the real puppet master was. The story of Clara, Emily, and me ends not with a resolution but with a stark reminder of how easily we can be deceived. The tangled web of betrayal has left its mark, and now it's up to us to navigate the fallout and seek whatever justice we can find.